know how my hair looks.
Focused on your cough.
Delicious. Delicious? That's a good
All right, we're live, although you're probably watching this tape because we're not podcasting this. We're live. Oh, the whole world's watching right now. This is awesome. And my coffee is way over there by that yellow plastic flower. But we're talking tech. We've been doing this for probably the last 2 years. We're going to continue doing it in some capacity, both here and then also in the university area where a lot of exciting things are happening. We've got a university student who's going to talk about all the amazing things she's doing. We've got Hillsborough County sitting over here, and she's going to talk about Jennifer and all the things she's doing to make EDI2 and tech just rock. We got folks from the University of South Florida, the powerful University of South Florida, that the all-seeing, all-knowing, they're like Oz. You know, they're amazing, but they're really just driving. In fact, I was with Dr. Sandberg, who's head of innovation and research at the University of South Florida this morning, and he's talking about how, they're talking about being one of the top patent producers in the nation. I mean, we're talking over 7,000 universities, and we're going to be top 10. I mean, that is awesome what's going on. In the world. Excuse me. A lightning bolt from USF is going to come crashing down if I mess up. It's like saying if there's a great pumpkin, then it goes away. We're going to be top 10 in the world.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We got Kyle Matthew. Kyle is just an amazing guy who's doing great things, both on a humanitarian sense to help kids, who are dealing with serious issues, but also just on the world of technology. And then a man, Bob Francis, who is a close friend, amazing mentor, someone you're going to be hearing a lot of, is doing some great things in the university area. And our conversation really is about what's going on in tech today, what's going to happen tomorrow, and what we see happening in the future in Tampa Bay. I want to turn it over to Jen because this is your program. I mean, you helped build this,
this is our program.
Our program.
All of ours.
So what's going on? Tell me from your perspective at the county with EDI2, where do you see us now?
Well, Commissioner, I think after meeting with so many people in the community, they are so grateful to you for paving the way, and it is important for us to make sure that we keep in that direction. When so much work has gone into something, you can't let it stop. You got to keep that momentum going. And so meeting with really fantastic people in the community like Kyle, like Tyler, Kiosha, Bob, so many people, they want it to grow. And we want to do bigger and more things as well for you and for our community. And so some things we've been talking about are big events like software development type of work, making that hackathon that you did even bigger, involving the creative community along with our tech community.
Am I going to get a shirt? Do I get to come? Do I get a t-shirt?
Of course.
An honorary shirt. Cool.
So those are some of the things that we've been talking about. It's just, again, continuing what you started, opening that roadway to more people getting involved, spreading that knowledge of technology and the importance of it in our community here in Hillsborough County.
Well, it seems like the county has really embraced what's going on. They see a value.
Yeah. It takes a leader like you to help make that happen.
Well, Stephanie helped to launch this program. I mean, she's brand new, and then within a matter of hours, Stephanie has EDI2, but the county, I mean, I was looking at a 2009 study by Battelle that talked about the power and importance of the life sciences and healthcare industry in Hillsborough County. And just in the university area, we're talking about $40 million in tax revenue as a result of all the activity that's coming from these industries. So there's a direct value to us, so the county sees that value and wants to continue investing?
Well, I think that the county definitely sees the value of what we're bringing in the sense of knowledge, what we call a knowledge economy, and making sure that we spread that. So I think that, Stephanie, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about what you're doing and how that's impacting the community as well, the tech community, entrepreneurs, because it takes all of us to make it happen. I'm just here speaking on one little part of it, but it really does take every single one of us, everybody in here, to help that grow, help that happen.
But the county's going to be, and that's why you're so important, a facilitator and bringing this together, and they want to continue bringing this together. So if you want to know what's going on, you're going to make sure that people have your contact information and know how to reach you.
Absolutely, yeah. We are definitely, we consider ourselves, as Lindsay says the glue. We're here to provide the resources, the connections, whatever we need to do, and that's why we're actively out there, not only getting involved, participating, but encouraging the growth, encouraging the discussions, and then taking it to the next level, actually making some things happen that we haven't done quite yet in our tech community.
Universities drive innovation, research, and job creation. USF's a special university. You've been with USF for how long?
About 4 months.
Wow. Feels like 4 years. 4 years of achievement squeezed into 4 months. So tell me, though, from your perspective, the role of the university and how do you think it's going to grow?
Well, the University of South Florida is a premier research institution, not only in the state, not only in the country, but in the world. As Mark mentioned, with our patents that we have, we are doing nothing but growing, and we are doing nothing but encouraging a culture of innovation amongst our researchers, amongst companies that are coming out of the university. So, we see ourselves, we are a university system, and when Jennifer talks about we are a community, so we are USF Tampa, we are USF St. Pete, we are USF Sarasota Manatee. We have to thank our partners like the county. We couldn't do what we do without their support. We could not do what we do without support from the Florida High Tech Corridor Council, which is a regional organization that is a consortium of universities that support every effort that we do. So we really see ourselves as a leader of innovation when it comes to we are driving business growth to our area, to the university area, and not just to our university area, but to our community. We are encouraging our technologies to commercialize, to create companies, and what happens when you create companies is you create jobs, and we're creating jobs right here, and we're keeping them in Tampa. So we really see ourselves on the innovation front of just driving and trying to lead the force, and leading it in a way that we're leading it from a very collaborative perspective with our partners, with our alliances, with our mentors, with our students. So we are all speaking from one voice here in Hillsborough County in Tampa Bay.
Students' talent, very important.
Critical.
We have Kiosha. Kiosha, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are. Are you now a student or have you graduated?
My name is Kiosha Poole. I'm a graduate student still at USF, studying entrepreneurship and applied technologies, but also global sustainability. And I'm the co-founder to the Student Innovation Incubator. Right now we have 24 student companies that we are serving. We'll be looking to recruit some more next year. One thing that I've really been able to appreciate about Tampa Bay and what you guys have been able to create, and I think that goes for me too, what I've been able to create is an environment or a hub of people that are interested in technology and people that are interested in entrepreneurship. So just to be a part of the growing culture we have here, just to be a part of the student incubator or the greater TBTI incubator, I think adds a lot of value to me and insight to me. But what I find is that the students find value in what you guys are doing. They find value in the incubator. So to let you guys know that we're really appreciative of the support we've gotten from Hillsborough County.
And if I could add to it, because I am so proud of Kiosha and her team and our Center for Entrepreneurship, which is ranked 6th in the country, the only ranked Center for Entrepreneurship in the state of Florida.
Wow.
So that is how our Student Innovation Incubator started. And when you talk about creating a culture of entrepreneurship and innovation and really embracing that sector, our first round of Student Innovation Incubator companies, we had 40 applications, we accepted 14 companies. Not 10 months later, we had 80 applications with the 24 companies Kiosha mentioned. I mean, we are, when you talk about...
Are these 24 student-led companies?
Student-led companies, both undergraduate and graduate. It is a tremendous story, and we are seeing nothing but people knocking on the doors from the student perspective. And as a university, these students are our core. They are our mission and doing what we need to do to help them grow and succeed.
What do they need? What do the students find that they need to make their companies successful or to get them off the ground? What are we providing, and what could we provide more of to help them?
I think the greatest thing that I hear is they don't know. They don't know about what's in the community. They're finding it difficult to get plugged in. The community, I've been here for almost 5 years. It took me 4 years to get plugged into the entrepreneurial community. But there are some things such as access to lawyers, to help with some of these important decisions that they need to make, contracts they need to develop. But really maybe a roadmap of what's in Tampa, resource-wise, would be great. But the only way to find that roadmap is to get involved. What I think they need is to get involved. They don't know. So maybe just greater communication on our part, incorporating students from outside into the community that we're trying to build here.
And one thing that we're doing that's really exciting, and it's direct thanks to Dr. Paul Sandberg with Senior VP of Research and Innovation, Dr. Michael Fountain, the Florida High Tech Corridor, is now in addition to providing a hub and a space for these students to collide with not only their colleagues, their other students, but their mentors, we're providing direct financial assistance when it comes in a variety of ways to help them access the resources they need, not necessarily money in, $1,000 here, $1,000 there.
Right.
It's resources it's resources to provide them with the business roadmap that they need. So we are starting down that path, and so we can always use more.
So now, is the student incubator commingled with our regular USF incubator, or are they separate? And do you want them brought together under?
Well, how I look at it is I look at USF Connect as the big umbrella to the student incubator, and I believe TBTI. That's how I look at it. We aren't the adult or the grown-up incubator, as I like to call it. We are student incubator. Our needs are different. The services that we provide are different. But hopefully some of our clients will be able to graduate on from the student incubator and move over onto to Stephanie's incubator.
And the thing that's I think that's so exciting, and it really just energizes you every day, is to know that we have 56 companies in our Tampa Bay Technology Incubator. We have 24 companies in the student incubator, and the student incubator physically lives in the middle of the tech incubator.
Wow.
So these students are colliding in the halls, in the cafe, in the galleria with the researchers that are working with our biotech companies, with our faculty, with our mentors. So they are living amongst each other, and we want that to continue to grow and flourish because those collisions are critical.
I'm going to ask Bob why an incubator is important and the value that he sees the incubator bringing to the area, but I do want to introduce Kyle and your company. Tell us a little bit. Now, were you a USF grad, Kyle?
No.
So what are you doing over here? No,
I came here from Seattle, so I actually moved down here in 2005. And at the time, we had, and still do, the largest iPhone community on the internet. So we have about 900,000 members. We get 1 million page views a day, and it's a bunch of developers and artists and people that are interested in technology and hacking, specifically around mobile devices. So through that, we actually got into forming Lycos, which is the company that I have that does a lot of mobile software development. We have some of our own products, and then we do client work as well here. But we really focus on mobile, and that's what we're doing here in Tampa.
And you find that Tampa Bay is a good place for you to be hubbed? I mean, that you can find the talent that you need to work in your company?
Yeah, I have been able to actually. I think that we actually had a different experience as far as getting connected. It was really easy for me to get connected. Once I started, I just Googled tech in Tampa, and I every single result that came up, I sent an email and said, hey, I've been here for a while, but I've never tried to get plugged in. Who should I talk to? And just started having a bunch of lunches and talking to find that there's this subset of technology people here in Tampa, and they all want something to happen, and they're all very, very open to meeting and very open to getting together and trying to figure out how can we get more people talking about the startup community in Tampa that does exist, but doesn't really have this central, front. And I think that's an issue. I think that there is a startup community in Tampa, but it's scattered.
Yeah, and Kyle, when we met, he said what came up on his search was you, your YouTube, this
That's
show,
scary.
Yeah.
this show. And so when
true.
we were talking, we met with another Kyle Edens, and he was like, oh my gosh, he's like, other software developers, and they're out there. The talent is here in Tampa,
Right.
and when we're meeting, the ideas, Commissioner, that are coming to the table, you would be so proud. And so that's what we're talking about when we're saying, hey, all of you guys that are here in our community, come on, let's make this program grow. Let's help our community. Let's help the county do more for one another. And so I just love when you were telling me that when you Googled
Yeah.
tech community, and here was our show, this show.
It was a Startup Monkey website, I think, and it had a link to one of the YouTube ones.
So we've got national tech talent that sees this area as a value, and I think when I think of Bob Francis, I think of your travels all over the world, and very unique perspective, and you're bringing your skills back home. Is Tampa your home, Bob? I mean, how did you find Tampa? How did Tampa find you?
Well, that's an interesting question. I was actually recruited in here in 1966 to lead classified R&D for Honeywell over in Largo, and I enjoyed it so much that when I moved away, I came back a few years later and joined Paradigm to run their operation outside the United States, and got wooed away by another job, and finally I decided, wait a minute, I'm now semi-retired, quote unquote. Where do I want to live? The answer is Tampa, and that's why I came back here. So I'm here because I want to be, but I don't have any businesses here until the last 2 weeks. And my business, as you say, are around the world. But I found when I came here what you were exemplifying, and that is a spirit of entrepreneurship in this community that I haven't seen elsewhere. And believe me, I have an incubator in Syracuse, New York, and it's not there. We do things in Dallas. I don't see it there either. But when I came here and met you and this community, I said, this is it. And I have really enjoyed jumping in and working with the startup companies that are here who want to succeed. And so it's been a great pleasure of mine to work with the people, the students at USF, First Wave, and certainly EDI2, I think, is a very novel situation. I've not seen that anywhere else. Again, thanks to your vision and your motivation.
All I want to do is hand out money. I mean, my thought was
That's a great idea.
we were going to have a big, accelerator of some form, and we would find great companies and then figure out a way to make sure that they had the resources they need. And I was instantly abused by a lot of folks who said that's a terrible idea. But around the table, literally over coffee, sitting somewhere around here,
yeah.
The plan kind of was created that, well, you know what we do need is a program which lifts up all these different disparate interests, lets them come, and without supporting a company, lets them support through very small contributions made by taxpayers. It lets us help us to support our tech community. And there's a great value there for, in fact, Ken Evans, who's off camera but can quickly be in camera. Ken, come over here. Come on, Ken. Ken Evans. In fact, you were looking at Startup Monkey.
Yes.
So of course we have to have the Startup Monkey right here, Ken Evans. Ken, what was the rationale behind the EDI2 program? Why did you think it was so important we create a program like this? What value does it provide?
Well, I mean, EDI2 program really just added fuel to the fire because, as you know, I'm a big fan of density, of people getting together, of proximity of people, of smart people, motivated people working together. And, in part, Buddy Brew became part of that. So every Friday we were here, we were talking about those things. But it was just a continuation of what we've been doing and trying to build in the culture. Bar Camp, when we first had the first one in 2008, was, at that time only 120 people, but all together that shared the same passion. And for me, it was like, what if we could have that every week or every month or every day? And it's not just about having an event for the sake of having an event and doing networking, because we do a lot of very shallow networking in this area, as a lot of areas do. Meeting other people is not the point. It's getting engaged with other people, finding out what they're working on, and figuring out a way if they can, if there's an opportunity to help them. And so for me, EDI2 was focused on, or the need for EDI2 was to make sure that events could happen. The community needed to do it organically, but if the county could say, I'm going to make sure you have a place for your meeting, or I'm going to make sure that you have resources for your meeting. That, to me, is what EDI2 really brought to the table, is to make sure that people weren't giving up on having these meetings. They weren't giving up on educational opportunities because they couldn't afford a place or they couldn't find a place. So to me, it's about the content once you get together and the density of the smart people that you're able to pull together under one roof.
But Ken,
even if it's just for one night.
I think there was something else too. The EDI2 stimulated a number of small organizations so that you could get together with people that had a common interest as opposed to being part of a bigger organization. And to me, that's some of the things that I noticed, that if you really are interested in square widgets, there's probably somebody in Tampa doing square widgets, and you guys can get together and have that kind of an event, as opposed to having a large, big thing that it's just a conglomeration, and you have a hard time finding your partner.
You're absolutely correct. It brought a lot more visibility to it. And actually, the introduction of Meetup.com, which I think launched in like 2006 or 2007, started to get people visibility for what they were doing. So there were a lot of meetups that were well off the radar, from economic development, from local government, even from other tech people that didn't know about it. But Meetup.com started to get people to mix it up a little bit. EDI2 amplified that effort and said, not only are we going to make sure that people know about these events, but that we're going to help put them on so they don't die. I mean, the number of meetups that are out there that never hold a session or that never attract more than 2 or 3 people, is kind of pathetic, but there's really no cost in doing that. But now we've made sure that more people go to that. So if you want to have a Ruby meetup, you won't have 2 people, you'll have 20. And it'll be people that are focused on that one widget, that one area of tech, and that all share that common purpose. And that's great.
Let me ask you though, so now, as we kind of close the first, I would say this is like if you were launching a rocket, and if you want to see a good movie about rockets, go see Interstellar. I don't know why I have to throw that. It was an awesome movie. Took my family. We were there when everything was shaking, and it's just amazing. But when you launch and the first booster drops, and I feel like we've launched a rocket, and a booster's dropping off, but now we're going to take it to a higher speed and direct it. Where do we take this? And recognizing that Brad Feld would say, we, the government, which I'm now exiting from, really shouldn't be the one directing. That the government should feed. So if we feed the need, what's the need? Where should we go so that we can continue to accelerate what we've started and make it even that much bigger and better? That's what I want to ask the table, including Harlan, who's standing over here quietly by the side, and is allowed to jump in at any time he wants.
Well, the good thing about EDI2 is government never led. The government was never in charge of these organic events.
Good point.
They recognized them. They helped do some matching funds around them. But you guys, even if you felt like you were in control, you weren't. It was the community that was putting it on. So my hope, and I said this from the very beginning when Lindsay was putting together the program, my hope was that after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that EDI2 would actually go away. Because in other tech hubs, EDI2 isn't needed. To me, it's a booster.
Okay.
And organically, when I've lived in Austin, when I've lived in Seattle, lived in other areas around, the events happen. The space is there. The energy is there. They happen without government involvement. And to me, that is really the best mix.
But if we want to take, my personal goal was that I wanted to see Tampa on that list. The top 10, top 20 list, where when you say, well, tech hubs, where would I go? I've graduated from a great university. I want to get a great tech job. Oh, I go to San Francisco. I go to Silicon Valley. I go to Austin. Denver, Seattle, Tampa should be on that list. So to get us to that point, is it attracting now the companies and saying, hey, we've got this community, we've got this talent, so should we be out there trying to get the companies to come here? Should we be focusing more on research? All of the above. What do you all think?
For me, I think it's a little bit of both on how I see Tampa. I think that recruiting and branding, people don't look at Tampa on a national scale as a tech hub.
Right.
But we are. We produce a lot of developers that end up moving to Silicon Valley. We produce a lot of intellectual property in this town. I think the problem is Florida as a whole is branded as a construction state. It's branded as an agriculture state. And I think that after this last year, we'll start looking to rebrand us from being the orange state to something else.
An orange tie.
I think that's a good point that people don't recognize, and this is one of the comments that you and I always had with each other, is that let's raise the flag and say that Tampa Bay is the headquarters, the center of excellence for healthcare. And by the way, I think we can justify that.
Right.
And we're now beginning to do it. So I think, first of all, we have the University of South Florida, we have Moffitt, and the others that are spinning out patents and technology left, right, and center. And now we have some incubators that are helping people who want to commercialize that. And they work with the inventors to build an ecosystem around it so that they can have a profitable business. And there's been several that have already successfully exited USF. Several have successfully exited the wave. It's working.
Right.
So now, what do? I think we continue doing what we're doing for another few years, because I think there's still room for more work in the incubator space to help these companies get up and running. And the last thing I would get back on is the same soapbox I've been on for several years. Where's the investment money for people to come in at the angel level and spend just a few, less than $100,000 to kickstart these companies? My frustration is I haven't been able to see that yet as well done as I'd like. But I think there's an opportunity for good investment if we can get those kinds of angels to work together. And a lot of us are still working to make that happen. But I think that's probably the next thing we continue to need to work on.
Right. But it all comes. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, when we talk about from a national scale and when we talk about exposure, I mean, we have to look at new resources that have just come to light in the last few years. The University of South Florida is home to the National Academy of Inventors, which has hundreds of patent holders from around the world. It is the home to the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame, which has 6 members, including 2 living members and 4 that are not, that are including individuals like Thomas Edison. So when we look at, just from a national perspective, we are trying to raise that. So people look at us, they say they are inventing, so it's now the commercialization, it's the getting the products to market.
I think you don't get benefits from just activity. You actually have to have deliverables.
That's what I was going to say. It seems like Lycos has to they have to get me on the board of directors and then have a multi-billion-dollar, but I mean, seriously, if Lycos becomes that company and everybody is mentioning Lycos, ultimately it's going to be, where are those guys? Oh, they're in Tampa.
Sure, and I think that's true about just visibility in general. We've had the same issue. We're in the middle of raising around for one of our products, and we've had the same issue that you're saying. Like, we're trying to find these angels, and it's very difficult here. There is a lot of money in Tampa, and we were having this conversation the other day, but they're not connected to technology.
Right.
They've typically been doing, like they said, real estate, restaurant, healthcare, and parking garages, sure. These things that are not technology. And so I think what EDI2 is doing and some of these other incubators is amazing, because raising that visibility of companies like ourselves, companies like Check I'm Here, which is in St. Pete, and a lot of these companies that are successful small technology companies that can be big deals. The more people know about them, the more investors see them in the Tampa Bay Business Journal and the local news, the more they start saying, you know what, I would like to put some of our money into there, because we don't have traditional tech investors here.
Right.
And I don't know that we necessarily need a lot of national exposure to get that. I can go to Vegas and get money. We have people in Silicon Valley that are interested in that, but they want you to move. So it's like, how do we keep those people here? Well, let's find the money that is here and teach them about technology.
What Kyle hits on the point is the investment money will come, the image will come if you've got the products.
Right.
So, I mean, to me, and this is, my last video podcast with Commissioner
No, it's
Sharp.
not the last
So,
one.
I can be a little offensive and say branding is the biggest sucker bet that is sold to municipalities out there. It is the biggest scheme to tell people, I can make you something that you're not. Branding is what you are. It's the products that you produce. It's not what you want to be. It's what you are. Right. So we have the image of being construction and tourism because that's traditionally what we are. If we were producing tech products and not just a service economy, we were more of a balance between services and products, software, hardware, medical devices, doesn't matter, that is your brand. That's when you get to be known as innovation. And if we can do that and have more products, more companies that are producing good stuff with a talented workforce, the brand comes with that. And it's not something that you can buy or rent or get an agency.
I want you to pan behind us, pan kind of the crowd, because what I want people to see is that behind us is probably somewhere in this room the next great company or great companies. When I first came here back in 2009, it was a very quiet place, and I thought the tech community was a very quiet community. And I started asking questions. Sometimes, you ask a question, you kind of ask a stupid question, you kind of know the answer, but you want others to shout it. And boy, people shouted it. And what I'm getting to hear is that there's a great community here that's only going to grow. You're going to see it in the West Shore area, the downtown Ybor area. The Ybor's got their entrepreneurship center, which, we moved it from 56th Street, which is kind of in an old industrial area, into a really cool, hip place where there's going to be a lot of great things happening in their entrepreneurship program, which is going to help spin off great companies. You're going to see it in the university area with what Stephanie's talking about and all the great partners there. And we're going to talk about it. This is just the beginning. I don't know. I hope you'll still come, even if it's not coffee with Commissioner. It have to be just coffee. We'll come up with we'll brand it. We'll come up with a cool name. We're going to have coffee, and we're going to talk, and we're going to do great things. Thank you for tuning in. Awesome.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Yeah. Still get to.